Ladies and or gentlemen, welcome back or welcome to the channel. My name is Zeno and this is my living legacy for 2023. With another little montage out the way, welcome everyone to my duo of videos regarding every single game that I personally completed in 2023. Side note, not every game I played or completed was actually released in 2023. There's a few other games there as well, so I should say that at the top. So I'm very excited to talk about some of these games a little bit more here on the brand new channel. 2023 was and is will be regarded as just one of the greatest years in video game history to many people, myself included. I truly believe that. That being said though, I didn't get to as many games as I wanted to that were released in 23, which is a shame, but also a small blessing, because now that I've launched this brand new channel based on my legacy, I can tackle those games and give them the love that they deserve, each in their own full video. So that'll be really exciting down the line. This part 1 video will be all the games that I watched live playthroughs of over on Twitch through my favorite person, which is Maximilian Dude. I spent many tens of hours doing this across the year, so I definitely think it's worth mentioning. And the second video will be all the games with my hands-on experience myself, like on PlayStation and the platinums that I got. And at the end of the second video, I'll also give honorable mentions to just some live service games that I play and games that I'm still currently playing that are either on hold, on hiatus, or just not finished yet. Okay, so without further ado, grab a snack and buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be another long video. And let's just jump into the first game to start this off, which was actually one of the first games of the year as well, and a complete surprise to everyone on its release over on the Xbox side, which I also briefly mentioned in my demo video. And that game is Hi-Fi Rush.
Yep, that's me. And you're probably wondering how I ended up here.
Wow, what a fun damn game. Like, this game shadow dropped on the Xbox Game Pass after an Xbox event that was showcasing off some of the games that were coming at the time to the platform earlier this year. This game combines like rhythm and action combat. It's got over-the-top comedy. The great characters, super vibrant locations, like it's an anime style. The boss designs, really catchy music. Like, I really liked Chai, the main character, by the end. I wasn't too sure when the game started. I'm like, oh god, here we go. But I really liked him by the end. He was a bit silly, but he was total blast to play with, and I really came around to loving his character. I really loved Peppermint as well. She was awesome. The cat, 808, that cat's adorable. I want to see that as a mascot for Xbox going forward. The whole crew that was part with Chai was just fantastic and a blast. It was really fun action game with surprisingly in-depth combo system, like akin to more like a Bayonetta, Devil May Cry action game with you know, like combo scores and everything on screen. Game is also surprisingly short as well, like 10-12 hours maybe. First run, could be a bit less if it's on easier difficulty. Super digestible game, has tons of replayability as well with its scoring modes, the difficulties, the unlockables. Pretty sure it's also got a DLC release, like a tower mode you can go through that it came out later on in the year. So even as a once-off though, like this is a superbly fun game. It's also one of the highest rated games of the year, sitting at an 87 on Metacritic and 89 for user reviews, which is absolutely deserved from Tango Gameworks. They made Evil Within and Ghostwire Tokyo. It was just one heck of a shadow drop game. Like it's free on Game Pass, and I truly hope that they make another one in the future or something, because it just would be such a shame to not revisit this world and the characters again. I 100% recommend for people that like action games and some rhythm combat. Even if you're not good at it, throw it on easy mode and just have a blast for a few nights, for a few hours, worst case. Definitely recommend Hi-Fi Rush.
USG Ishimura, this is the emergency maintenance team of the USG Kellyan responding to your distress call.
Oh, okay, Dead Space remake. Oh, baby. Okay, now this was a remake. Like, I played the original Dead Space on the Xbox 360, and my God, I remember having very distinct memories of me being a baby bitch and literally not being able to play through this game with all the lights on in the house during the daytime and only like doing one chapter or 1 hour at a time. Like, it was that scary to me when I was younger. So I'm not very good with horror games. I've gotten a lot better since, but there's still some games that I just can't do. Alien Isolation, that can burn straight in hell. But unlike other games that I'll speak about next in the video, like my Resident Evil 4 remake, this is more a one-to-run remake from the original game. They did take some liberties with giving Isaac a voice. He didn't actually have a voice in the original, and I know some people don't. I know some people like having their protagonists with no voices. Like Persona's actually a very popular one that comes to mind. Personally, I prefer games to have their protagonists with voices. I want you to tell me the vision of your game and the story and the dialogue, etc. I don't mind it when it doesn't, but I personally prefer it when it does. So I don't remember if it bothered me too much in the original version, but that was like back in like 2011 when I finished that game and got all the achievements. That's a long time ago. But I will say though, I thoroughly enjoyed it more so this time around. It gave Isaac more of a personality and a character. And it just, while he doesn't have like a super in-depth character, it was just kind of more than enough for me. And I really think it added to the game and just the overall story that it was trying to tell, because now there was more dialogue and back and forth between him and the other characters that were in the story. As for other things, weapons, they were changed a little bit. I believe there might have been some new weapons, or at least ones that had new firing modes. So obviously some areas were a little bit different as well. Just like better quality of life things to keep up with the modern times. Outside of like some minor changes. And obviously graphically, like this game's intense. The lighting and atmosphere being just absolutely intense for next gen hardware. Like this is just such a near perfect survival horror action game. It's got the gore, it's got the monsters and the necromorphs, it's got the perfect setting in the Ishimura, which is like a character in itself. It's fun to play. The curve stomping with Isaac boots is so satisfying, even like, you know, a decade plus later. And also just a story I find actually very interesting, because I like stories where the game weaves in like religious cult things into stories. I actually find that really fun, especially for horror games. It's got the looting of the containers and the items, the telekinesis powers. It's literally got it all. Like Dead Space Remake is one of the best and finest examples of a classic game, modernized in next gen with all the bells and whistles, quality of life, and just pure love and attention. I absolutely highly recommend Dead Space Remake for horror fans. And as of recording, I think it's actually free on Game Pass as well, not even a year out from its release, which is kind of crazy. So I'll be playing this myself this year. Resident Evil 4 Remake. Wait, no, hang on. There's other Resident Evils before that. Resident Evil 2 OG, and not just a playthrough of the original Resident Evil 2. It was actually a randomizer run on PC. I'm also going to bundle in Resident Evil 2's Remake randomizer as well, because I went through that as well. So, and also please forgive me for not having footage of a randomizer. It would require me to literally steal other people's playthroughs on YouTube. So while I'm not new to randomizers, I will admit there's only certain types of games I'd watch them for, and even more rarely at that, and Resident Evil series works perfectly for them. So if you haven't seen or played a randomizer before, it's a fairly simple concept. They are mods that change the layout of the enemies, the weapons, the items, key item, puzzle pieces. So the game's essentially kind of randomized. If you've ever had like a Pokemon Nuzlocke or something like that, I think those are pretty randomized as well. Something that's kind of similar to that. So you could be facing the end boss in the first room of the game. You could start the game off with a bazooka, where you would normally find like a shotgun. There might be a simple healing item instead, where there could be a key card to get through a door. Maybe there's like a pistol, or you'll see some ammo on the ground, but it's really like a crank for a puzzle in the wall from 3 hours ago. Like, there'll be some items you'll literally never find because it was in a random box somewhere else. But like, randomizers are just a ton of fun to play and especially watch. It's a great way to mix up playthroughs of your favorite games, especially the ones that are a bit on the shorter side. And so going through the original Resident Evil 2 and the remake of Resident Evil 2, both with randomizers on, was just a lot of fun this year, and I highly recommend it to anyone that hasn't seen them before.
Your soul requires cleansing.
Okay, so Resident Evil 4 Remake. Okay, now we can talk about the remake. We've got the other Resident Evils out the way. Oh, God. Damn, boy. Okay, look. I love Resident Evil overall. It's actually one of my favorite franchises. I have all the movies on Blu-ray. I have the live action one. It's awful. The CG anime ones. I have a Death Island came out earlier in 23. That was fun. It was stupid, but it was really fun. I really just like Resident Evil, but I started with Resident Evil 5 on the Xbox 360, and actually I eventually went back to the original 1, 2, and 4. Never played 3 actually. And then the remakes and remasters of 1, 2, and 3. And now with 4, I wasn't around for it as a kid, and I never had access to it. I never knew much about what Resident Evil was until later in life, hence why I started with Resident Evil 5. So I didn't have the nostalgia that people had for Resi 4, although I have played Resi 4 before myself, and I've watched it and gone through it many times since. Normal runs, randomizer runs, hardcore professional. I've done the whole 9 yards. So I've gone through it because it's been so popular and beloved over my gaming life. So it's one of those games that was very hard to ignore because I like these styles of games. So with the remake, it was a lot easier for me to love and accept the differences and the liberties and the changes that it took with its stories, character, combat, locations. And just in the end, I can confidently now say, it's been so long since it came out at the start of 23, or what was it, like February, March, April or something? I don't remember. That I can confidently say that I much prefer the remake of Resident Evil 4 compared to the OG. That being said, put the pitchforks down. The OG still stands alone as a fan-frickin-tastic game though. That thing pioneered so much about gaming that is today. And I also don't think it's completely fair to compare them wholeheartedly because they're honestly quite different at times. And unlike Dead Space earlier, which I hinted at, this is not a one-to-one remake or a remaster. This is a full remake from the ground up. So I think the changes they made to the story, especially Ashley is so much more better in this game. Luis, oh my God, Luis might be my favorite character in RE4. Like, he's in the original game, everyone kind of liked him, but he kind of only showed up for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes at most, like if you counted the full runtime, but he's very scarce. And by the end of his arc in the story, it didn't have like as much of emotional build-up because he wasn't as around as much. But this Luis, oh man, he was so good. He's so funny. He's more charming and charismatic. There is a whole chapter dedicated to him alongside Leon as well. It's so good. It's so much fun. And I also know this might be like a controversial take, but I also like the new Ada and the direction they went with her changed voice actor. I know it took a little bit to get used to, I'll admit, but I think it captures Ada's cold-hearted attitude and demeanor and her very bland, flat tone of like not caring, even though, you know, she cares like a little bit sometimes, especially about Leon. But outside of that though, the fights were better, the bosses were better, Krauser fight was really cool, combat was just a lot more fun overall, because obviously didn't have the tank controls from 20 years ago. There's new enemies and places to fight in, new bosses, it looks fantastic, great performances, just a solid game. Like, it's up there as one of the best games of the years, to be honest. I absolutely highly recommend Resident Evil 4 Remake. Also, while we're here actually, we might as well just plug the DLC separate ways, because I went through that as well. That stars Ada as the main character. I think this was also in the original Resi 4, or at the very least the later versions that were released. But she gets a whole different combat gimmick with the grappling hook. That was really fun, using it to zip around, and in combat using it to rush up close and like take down enemies. 90% of the areas with the Ada campaign is the same areas that you go through with Leon, but a lot of them are different paths, which is cool, or reversed, so that was really unique. She's also got a few exclusive areas as well. Some of them were actually in Leon's campaign originally, but they actually got swapped into hers, so now we know what happened to some of those missing campaign pieces in Remake. And also, there's more Luis. I can't get enough of Luis in my life. Also, there was Wesker. Like, Wesker appeared in this. Like, what the fuck? Okay, that's totally new, but cool, because I think Wesker's awesome. It was a really solid DLC. It was short. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's only like a few hours long. It's like 10-15 bucks. If you love Resident Evil 4, and especially the remake, it's more in the same world with enough new things to keep you interested. That and just Ada is ridiculously hot. Please step on me. Okay, so that's enough Resident Evil. Big year of Resident Evil for me. Resident Evil 2, OG, Remake, Resident Evil 4, the DLC. A lot of big Resident Evil. So let's jump to Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. Oh, this was a cool surprise. This is also one of the games I went through that stopped me playing Sea of Stars, which I mentioned in my demo video prior, because this came out pretty much the same couple of days or same week, and I really wanted to do Armored Core because Sea of Stars is a big RPG, and I knew Armored Core would take a lot less time to get through. So Armored Core, though, I'd never played any of the original ones. I'd never really seen gameplay from them. I'm not actually a big mech guy either. I like mechs and stuff, and I think they're pretty cool, but I'd never really seen any of the Gundam animes. The only one that I really saw and liked from memory was Code Geass. That was always a childhood favorite one that had lots of mechs in it. But that being said, though, not much of a Gundam mech kind of robot guy. However, this game, being from Software, the makers of the indie hit titles Dark Souls and the very niche title nobody has played, Elden Ring, I had to at least give this a look over. And boy, I loved what I was seeing. Like, this game is really cool. I am totally on board with getting my hands in the cockpit of it myself one day when the game's cheaper or on sale. The combat was fast, it was flashy, addictive, it was super skill-based as well, just like some of the other FromSoft's titles. Building your own custom mech was fun to see. The amount of weapons and pieces you could change out all the time. Some of the bosses were just like really cool. It was just bomb-ass music too in some of those fights as well. It was a super fun, action-packed mech game. And yes, it could be quite difficult at times, and that very first boss will definitely filter some people. They will destroy you, like Souls games. But FromSoft clearly took a lot of the lessons from their Souls series and Sekiro and applied them to AC6. And I actually kind of liked the story a lot too. It was really interesting, and it had multiple endings. I've gone and looked up the other endings now as well. It's actually really cool. So I loved AC6. It was a great game, and it's like the ultimate customizable mech game, no questions asked. Okay, so final game that I watched a full playthrough of. Okay, kind of, because I'll explain later, but that'll be in the next video. But Lies of P. I spoke about this in my demo video prior, but holy shit, man, now I get to gush a little bit more about it. This might be my game of the year for 2023. Like, I don't really know I don't really know, to be honest, because I haven't sat down and truly thought about it, and I probably won't because I think I said it earlier, but I missed so many Game of the Year contenders this year myself. I might even make a video on that. But this game is absolute peak Souls-like. If you like Dark Souls, you like Sekiro, you like Elden Ring, Bloodborne, especially Bloodborne, you will love this game. If you put this game next to FromSoft's other games, this game is crafted so meticulously off the bones and the skeleton of their titles that you'll be very hard pressed to tell that this wasn't a FromSoft game. This was actually done by Round 8. And the only other thing they've done before this was Bless Unleashed in 2020, which was a reboot of Bless Online, like an MMO game. So this is their first try at a unique and brand new IP from the ground up, and it was intensely good. Like the mishmash of Pinocchio and puppets and machines into a Souls-like is just utterly genius. It works so well. And what sets this apart from the other Souls-like games that have come before it, it's got a great, solid story. Not that the other games haven't got solid stories, but this is so much easier to follow and understand. And also, just, if I might add, rant time. It has one of the greatest endings of any video game in 2023. Now, obviously, I didn't play every video game in 2023. I missed a lot of big ones. But this ending, oh my God, like I literally sat there and I was like, holy shit, are they seriously going for this? Like, it's really that good. It's mind-blowing, at least to me personally. Like, obviously more so if you've played the game and you have some more context, but even if you haven't, you should be able to recognize why this is so cool. And like, oh my God, that ending, it's so good. Like, I generally think you should go look it up. It's got great quality of life that others lack. In the hub area, and specifically, it tells you where a character is when you want to talk to them, so you don't have to miss side quests and look up obscure walkthroughs and stuff because you miss everything. It's got great combat. It blends Sekiro's perfect block and stagger mechanic with Bloodborne's aggressive playstyle. Like, if you lose health, attacking quickly after gets you portions of it back. It's got a sick-ass combo systems and combining for weapons where you can attach different handles to different blades and literally create your own weapons. Although admittedly, the boss weapons usually tend to be the best, but it's still really cool and unique. Great enemy design, great locations, the music is top tier. Like, don't get me wrong, other Souls games and Souls-likes have decent music, and there's always standouts, but man, this game has amazing music. The game's just fun. The game is the right amount of challenging. The game is a great length. The game takes so many of the best parts of the Souls games and rides the tailcoats of Bloodborne specifically. And they really just said, if you won't give us a 60 FPS 4K Bloodborne port or a remake, fuck it. We'll make the next best thing. So Lies of P, without a doubt, is my absolute favorite Souls-like game that is not from Software. And like, honestly, I hope this is a safe space. Hot take, maybe? This is my second favorite Souls game after Elden Ring. It's also got DLC coming later. It's free on Game Pass. And guys, that ending. Go look up the ending for Lies of P, the secret ending. Even if you don't have any context, you'll be like, oh, that's really cool. Because you'll be able to recognize what that is alluring to in the future. I cannot recommend Lies of P any higher for actions and Souls fans. It's just a near masterpiece to me personally. Okay, so time for a breather. Are we getting there? You guys hanging in there? Okay, well, I appreciate each and every one of you watching, honestly, so much. Okay, look, I'm gonna leave the last 6 game completions to part 2 of this video, alongside with some honorable mentions and games that are just on hiatus and then I'm gonna go back to, because this would just be too long of a video otherwise. So if you like this video, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I'll see you in part 2, and actually, yeah, I think I'll just leave it there. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. So have a fan-frickin-tastic rest of your day, and as always, my name is Zeno, and you guys take care now.